an application in a way that they can use whatever way they want. It's from scratch. But most of us might not have the experience to build an app from scratch, so we use services that have templates. And that's what we're going to focus on presentation today, is how can we have an application up and running without knowing all the language, HTML language of building an app. So when you go on Google, you can type app maker, app creator, mobile, app. All these keywords can give you a list of applications you can use to build your app. That you have to set up an account as a developer with the two major distributors, which are Google Play and Apple. Now with Google Play, you can basically develop and publish your app in 24 hours. It's very easy, right? Apple is more strict because they want to make sure that your app is functional, is fully functional. They want to basically look at everything that you do. So it takes at least 15 days to publish your application with Apple. So remember this. So there are two steps. Number one is to find a platform to design the app. And number two, you have to establish yourself as a developer. So if you see by actual ID number, you pay a fee as a developer. That means that you now become this person who can publish an application. So when you go to Como website, you can pay for, I think it's like $49. Can you go to the price? I think it had to.
Can't write anymore. So, and then it's January, February, March, April, May, June, July. So we told him we'd like him to speak at least 4 times a year. Now, as an attorney, and he's a business attorney, what do you think would be a good thing to speak about if we go to Rotary? Go to Rotary. That would be a good title. And they're mostly small business owners in the audience. And they need to know about corporate law. So on the internet, one of the most clicked on things is the top 10 things everybody needs to know about whatever. So that's always a really good starting place for positioning whoever as a leader. Is that, those lists people love. So we could, we did a number of different ones. Top 10 things that small businesses need to know to not get sued.
Gaining ideas by going out into the public. Do you feel that journalists today are more dependent upon social media to get leads and find information, or do you think that they're still having to do the footwork of going out and talking to people? You have to get out from behind the computer.
I think it depends on the story and the situation. I do tell students that they still need to show up in person, because you're going to get a lot out of a person just from seeing them more than on social media, and they're more likely to not say no to you if you're standing in front of them. But if you're on Twitter or something, you're trying to get them to answer questions, or they can easily just not answer you. and so, as far as reporting is concerned, I think it's Twitter and Facebook and all them are really great for getting real person reaction or to gauge how the community feels about an issue. But when you're trying to reach a source or really do the work, it's still better. That old path is still better to go and find the person and stand in front of them and say, why is this happening?
They do that. They use both, right? So they go on Facebook and find their profile and contact them and say, can we meet? Can we, or Twitter, and can we talk about this particular thing? And then they'll go in person and interview them, because you can't. There's no replacement for an in-person interview, right? So even with your friends, you could be the best of friends and you tweet all day long, but there's nothing like sitting down for a cup of coffee and having a conversation. So I think they use it to break the ice or to reach out, or sometimes it's the only way you can even. You don't know phone numbers. Who has a phone book anymore? So you can more quickly grab someone's social media profile and reach them than you can, looking up their phone number.
Watch closely at how you're wording the things you're wording, because what you say in your head is not going to come across the same as what you say on Twitter, and what you say on Twitter is not the same as what you say in print. And I know that sounds really weird, but the demographics for a print publication is this older group, and demographics for Twitter is not, and they don't perceive words the same way.
Is
And
it like conversational more than?
yeah, you
Yes.
gotta be a little bit more conversational, and don't be afraid to use vernacular.
First thing I would say is kind of echoing what you're saying, but accuracy, right? So we live in an age where if you see something quickly, you tweet it, you do whatever, and if it's wrong, they'll remember that forever, you know? So do your best to, and I mean, that includes not only getting your facts right as much as you can, getting your spelling right, you know, because whether if you have your name journalist on that title, it doesn't matter if you were writing 5 stories and your child was crying and your house was on fire. If you spelled a word wrong, it's over, and everyone on your feed is going to tell you. So being very accurate and being very careful with your reporting. And then 2, social media, you have to be consistent, right? So people just got to know you're there. You got to tweet. You have to, even if it's not the most breaking news, you have to just be out there, and that's how people are going to start following you, if you're consistently just there.
What is going to save the world in the case of football. You look at those things, and it's that battle. Should I engage? Should I not engage? Should I back off? What should I do? And obviously, because it's your hero, that's the moment where they're going to make up their mind to actually do what they need to do to become a hero. So that debate part is very key. Then you have the break into 2. And this is break into Act 2. And this is kind of where your journey begins. But as you go into Act 2. And then you go into your B story. And this is what Joshua was talking about. It goes into your B stories. And you can have B, C, D stories depending on how in depth you've actually written this. You can have multiple stories going at one time. All is gone. And a lot of times in the all or lost scene, there's usually some type of death. And then sometimes, screenwriters even say, you make it be, even if it's if it's a comedy, make it the death of a plant. It's something about death. At that all is lost point, it's how our minds are driven. And it's funny because they really have obviously studied this as an art form and studied it in dealing with the psychic of individuals. And that's why I love the way Blake Snyder approaches it, because he approaches it from, okay, I'm dealing with the psychic of my audience members. And you build it from there. Then you go into the dark of the dark of the soul. The main character hits bottom. She's at the point, or he's at the point where, okay, can I return from this? Can I get back up? And then, of course, you break into Act 3, which is it goes into the actual final act. And that's where the idea comes up, the inspiration pops up, and they actually get back on track and they save the day. You get to your finale, whatever your finale is, whether it's like in Thor when he defeats the enemy, and then you go into your final image. And those are the beats that you want to have in your film.